Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. I think most people believe that if they could just get rid of doubt, they'd doubt in some area of their life, that they'd finally make the progress that they've always wanted. But that's not really, to me, how progress really works. And I think the truth is that some of the most successful people that you know still feel doubt. That's what I've discovered on my journey in working with very high performers and people who you think would never experience doubt, but they do. They still feel uncertainty. They still have moments where the voice in their head says, maybe this won't work, or maybe this will fail. And the difference, though, is pretty simple but stark, is that they don't treat their inner voice as the final word, as the authority. In fact, if you look closely, the real problem in most people's lives isn't that doubt is there. It's that they're listening to it too much. And once you see that really, really clearly, something shifts inside you, because that's when you start to realize that doubt isn't the enemy. Mistaking doubt for truth is the enemy. And that's what I want to explore a little bit in today's episode, about how to neutralize doubt without trying to fight your thinking, because I think that's what most people do without realizing it. Certainly that's also what I did for many, many years. Fight my thinking. It doesn't help. But neutralizing doubt can be done in a different type of way. Now, the inspiration for this particular episode, apart from the fact that I think I've seen it recently as a recurring theme for a lot of clients, very experienced, very smart, even successful clients. But I decided to do a long-form version of this topic for the final audio in my 12 audio series called the Inner Advantage audio series. And if I do say so myself, it's very high value, not just in the long-form doubt killer, but actually the other 11 with it. So it's a bit like having 12 long conversations with me, 45 minutes to an hour on high-impact inner gain topics for a fraction of the price it would cost to talk to me in real life. So do consider that it's really high impact, and it will accelerate your understanding of the inner game, and that'll ripple into your work, your life, your sport, whatever your choice is. But let's kick off a little bit here in terms of a quote, which I think comes from Shakespeare. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. And they are traitors, and they do rob us of our potential. Now, before we dig into that a little bit, I think it's important to say that most people assume that doubt in any context is always a bad thing, but actually a little doubt actually can be healthy. You know, some people operate with almost no doubt at all, and they should have some healthy doubt. You know, those kind of people maybe are completely certain that they're right, that their opinion is right, they never question themselves. And when that happens, it's usually not confidence. What it really is ego. And I'm sure you can think of some political leaders in the world right now, if you're listening to this in 2026, where you think it'd be nice if they had a little bit of doubt, because those people often cause serious damage, and they do. So a small amount of doubt is what I'm saying can actually keep us open, curious, and grounded. It's a bit like a continuum for most thinking patterns like that. You know, at one extreme, you could have unhealthy doubt, which is probably where most people are, most good people. And then there's healthy doubt, where we want to move to. So for most people, as I say, they're the opposite of those few who never question themselves. Most people experience, I think, too much doubt. It robs them of their potential. It second guesses decisions. It makes them delay actions that are important. And it's the kind of doubt that whispers, maybe you're not ready. Maybe this won't work. Maybe you're going to fail. Maybe you shouldn't try at all. And here's, I think, the interesting thing. The real issue isn't that doubt is appearing. Again, it's the issue is that we start treating the doubt as if it is the truth. And I think there's two common misunderstandings about doubt. One is that most people think that successful people don't feel doubt. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. Because if you speak to like very successful founders, leaders, athletes, creatives, you'll hear a very different story. That they felt doubt, they felt fear, they felt uncertainty, but they still took action. They still moved. And that action happened despite the doubt. And the second, I think, misunderstanding is that people try to fight doubt with positive thinking. That they try to replace the thought, I think I shouldn't feel this. I shouldn't feel doubt. It's wrong that I feel that something is wrong. I need to think positively here. I should be more confident. If I was really good at what I did, I'd be more confident. But that approach actually just creates another mental battle. And the deeper shift that's available to us all is much simpler than that. It's realizing this critical point. You are not your thinking. You are not your thinking. You have thinking. So thoughts appear just like clouds in the sky. Doubtful thoughts appear. But the moment you realize you are the observer of that thinking, something quite significant changes, or at least that's what I've realized, that the doubt can still show up. That's okay, but the difference is it no longer runs the show. Now, for you, maybe think about a moment where you were about to do something important in your work or your life, maybe send a key email, make an important call, start a significant project you've been always wanted to do or delaying on, maybe have a very difficult conversation with somebody in your world. But right before doing it, a thought appears, what if this goes wrong? Or maybe you're not ready right now. So that's an example of doubt that I think we could all relate to. But notice something here. The moment you start listening to that doubt, the hesitation inside you grows. And in contrast, the moment you act despite that doubt, the doubt fades into the background. It may not disappear, but it fades away. And I think everybody has experienced something like that. Now, for example, I worked with many, many people over 25 years, but I remember working with a specific client who was very, very capable. And on the outside looking in, you would have said very successful, strong business, good reputation. But before every important move, some form of doubt would show up. Again, it could be a version of, what if I get this wrong? Or what if this damages the relationship? Or what if this doesn't work? And when we dug into it through conversation, when we explored it, the interesting realization was that he had assumed his goal was to remove the doubt completely. But as I'm saying, that never really makes the difference. The significant shift came when he saw that doubt was simply a thought appearing in his mind. And once he stopped treating it as a signal of genuine danger, he could act normally again. Now, the doubt didn't disappear overnight, but what changed was its authority disappeared. He didn't see it as truth anymore, and that was enough to change everything. Now, maybe think about doubt like background noise on the radio. If you turn the volume up and listen carefully, it becomes distracting. But if you focus on driving the car, the road, the destination, the movement, what you're focusing on, the noise kind of fades into the background. So the signal you follow is the direction you want to go. It's not the static in the background. And I think most people try to eliminate the static, which is the doubt. The more useful mental skill is simply not to mistake it for the signal. Now, I should point out as well that, I know many people who are, that I've worked with that, again, would have achieved quite a lot, but yet I might be talking to them because they want to remove or reduce the doubt. And what's curious to me is that you can be a very high-functioning person, but still have a high-level anxiety due to doubt. And the gain there is that you can actually help somebody to remove and reduce radically the level of stress and anxiety inside, which actually elevates their performance. And I'm just being honest that I think you'd be very surprised at how many successful people that you probably even look at or know personally or just through the media. You'd be surprised at how many of them actually experience a high level of anxiety through doubt. So there's many ways you can do this, but even by recognizing that you're not your thinking is one of the key chess moves. But here's a 3-step move to kind of maybe help neutralize some of the doubt. The first thing is notice the thought, as in just notice what's happening. So if a doubtful thought appears, in whatever shape it is, don't react to it as a signal of danger. Just pause and recognize, oh, that's a thought. It's not a fact. Can you be 100% sure it's true? Usually not. It's not a prediction. It's not Mystic Meg. It can't predict the future. It's just a thought passing through your mind. Now, yeah, it might bring in with it a grip or a change in emotion, but that small moment of noticing, of awareness, already starts to loosen the grip. So the second point is don't give it authority. Just recognize that a thought appearing in your mind doesn't deserve authority. It's just a thought. And your mind produces thousands of thoughts every day. And some are useful, some are noise. But it's important to recognize, at least question with a gentle suspicion, what is this? And often the doubtful thinking is just the brain doing its job, which is trying to anticipate risk, trying to protect you from pain. But most pain in the modern world is psychological. So it should be at least questioned, those thoughts. And when you stop treating every doubtful thought as an instruction or the truth, something changes. The doubt still comes in, but it stops running the show. And then the third move in that kind of doubt neutralizing sequence is move anyway, take action anyway. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're not guaranteed a result, but just take the next step forward that you can see, because progress is more important. And progress doesn't require the absence of doubt. It just requires that doubt doesn't get the final vote in what you do. So here's again a couple of questions for you to close it out. Like, where in your life maybe doubt is currently speaking the loudest? Where is it? Is it around a decision, a conversation, a project, a relationship, something to do with you, your performance, or a change you know you need to make? Identify it, but then ask a key question. Okay, what would I do next if I didn't treat my doubt, my doubtful thinking, as a command or as truth? What would you do? I think Napoleon Hill, the author of the incredibly best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich, said, doubt is only removed by action. That's not completely true in my view, but it certainly helped. Because doubt will appear from time to time. That's normal. But the real skill in life, in any context of your life, sport, business, relationships, it isn't eliminating doubt in my experience. It's recognizing that a thought appearing in your mind is not the same thing as truth. And successful people in any field don't wait for doubt to disappear. They just stop treating it as authority and they take action regardless. That famous expression, feel the fear and do it anyway, you could apply to this. Feel the doubt and do it anyway. And when that happens, more and more, something interesting occurs. Action starts to get easier. Progress starts to happen, which is really, really important. And along the way, the mind does get quieter and quieter and quieter. So hopefully you can actually start to kill some of the doubt that maybe appears around you now and allow that change to raise your game in every aspect. That's it for this week. Ciao for now.